Right, in this module of my free e-commerce email marketing course that I'm putting together for my YouTube channel, I'm going to show you exactly how to write and design campaigns from scratch as a complete beginner in Figma. So if you haven't watched the previous module, I highly recommend you do. In that module, I showed you how to actually create content calendar for your brand. So basically, how do you come up with different emails and then how do you organize that in one really good content calendar, right? So the example brand we used in the previous video, so for the example brand we used to come up with email ideas for, right, was Element. So it's this brand, they sell electrolyte packages, right? So it's super simple, nothing extraordinary, nothing really crazy. So in this video, we're going to pick one of the ideas we generated and then we're going to turn it into an actual email. So let me show you the ideas we actually came up with. So you can see we have a lot of different ideas. We actually have 50, right? So we're going to pick one, right? Now, also, like, as I said, if you haven't watched the video, right, go ahead and watch it to see how we actually came up with all these ideas. But what I did in this video, I actually already picked an idea. I already generated all the copy and all that just to save some time. But then I'm going to walk you through the actual prompt I use. And then also I'm going to leave the prompt in the description so you can just go ahead, grab it and use it for yourself, right? So the idea, the email I think we're going to go for is Hydration 101, Sodium Isn't the Enemy. Teach how sodium supports endurance and performance. So you can see we have 50 different ideas with a lot of different angles. So you can see we have education and value-based, we have social proof and community-driven, educational deep dives, blah, 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 right? That is not going to be very important right now because we'll be designing only one of these. And this is the one I picked. Why this one? I don't know. I just liked it. Okay. So we're going to pick that one. And then let me show you how we generated copy. So let me find it here, right? So here's the prompt. Let me walk you through it. You're an expert copywriter trained to write e-commerce email marketing copy. Your mission is to write punchy, direct response friendly email marketing copy tailored for e-commerce brands. The copy must be short, skimmable, and optimized for mobile inboxes while aligned with brand tone and the customer's journey stage, okay? Write 3 short and punchy email campaign variations displaying a table format for this consumer product brand. Each variation must include the following fields in this exact order. So we have subject line, preview text, headline, subheadline, first CTA, text only, no button styling, body copy, 2 to 4 sentences, short, scroll stopping, mobile first, brief section. So we have an example here. So basically a graphic side, beside results or visual, 5-star review snapshot. So basically some sort of an infographic, right? And then we'll have our product section. So it'll either highlight one product with background info, if appropriate, such as 3 feature bullets or something like that, or 3 to 6 products with 1 line benefit feature per product plus CTA, right? And then we have some important notes, which means that this is really important. So pay attention. Built for image-based layout. So either for Figma or Canva, right? So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Figma, right? I'm going to show you how to design this in Figma. But if you're not that tech savvy or that's a limiting belief, to be honest. But if you're really not that tech savvy or you really know how to use Canva well, like if you really don't want to do Figma, that's fine. You can do Canva, okay? But I highly recommend you do Figma because it's just going to allow you to be way more flexible. It's going to give you way more options so your designs can actually look way better, okay? But as I said, if you really don't want to do Figma, go ahead, do Canva. It's not going to be too big of an issue, okay? So design for mobile first consumption, bold, no fluff, attention grabbing. Now this is important, design for mobile first consumption, because most of your traffic, like most of your readers are going to come from mobile, right? So why would you not optimize it for mobile, right? That just makes more sense. And I'm going to show you how to actually do that, right? Optimize for engagement and clicks, must include social proof, direct response copy principles, and objection handling when applicable. No discounting unless strategically required. Now this also I forgot to mention is very important. So must include social proof, direct response copy principles, and objection handling when applicable. So it's not going to be applicable every time, but when applicable, include it, like especially social proof and objection handling, because it's really going to be a very high leverage piece of content in your email, right? So it is worth including it, right? But as I said, it's not always going to be applicable. As you'll see in this email, it's not really going to be applicable, like social proof and all that, right? But it can work really well. Now, tone and language should reflect the brands as described above. Give me design guidelines and ideas, and here's the topic. So the topic of the campaign is Hydration 101, Sodium Isn't the Enemy. Teach how sodium supports endurance and performance. And chat came up with this. So let me walk you through what he came up with. Now, subject line and preview text are not going to be very interesting to us right now because, as I said, we're focusing on the design itself, okay? So that's something that is not really going to impact our design. So we care only about this from here, right? Headline and below that. So headline options are the following. Sodium isn't the problem, it's the solution. This is okay. It's not bad. It's pretty standard. So this can work. The real villain, not sodium. I like this one, to be honest. Like this one is pretty good. And then we have the last one, which is like fuel your hydration like the pros. This is kind of like, it's too basic. It's kind of like hey, ad. This is an ad, right? I don't like this one. I like either this one or this one, but I think we'll go for this one, okay? Then we have the subheadline. So your body loses salt, not sugar, and it's costing you endurance. This is pretty good. This is pretty straightforward to the point. It makes sense. I like this one. Sugar laden sports drinks, got it all wrong. Here's the truth. I like this one as well. This one is pretty good because it kind of like breaks the myth. And then like, here's the truth. It hooks you in. Kind of like, we're going to reveal you what the truth is. So I like this one as well. And then we have peak performance starts with proper electrolyte balance. This is okay. But again, that sounds like basic, salesy, kind of like corporate. I don't know. I just don't like these two options here. Now, the main thing, like as I said, I'm going to leave this prompt in the description. Go ahead, grab it. No need to give me your email. No need to opt in or anything like that. So you can just go ahead and use it. So you'll get a similar response like this. Obviously, as I said, if you haven't watched the previous video, this prompt is not going to work because you'll need the prompt from the previous video, which is going to actually tell you how to describe your brand and customer avatar and all that in enough detail so you can actually get the AI to actually understand your brand so he can come up with ideas like this, right? So you need the previous prompt first, okay? I'm going to leave both in the description, most likely, okay? Now, you'll see that he's going to come up with 3 different variations because that's what we told him to do, right? But what is really important to understand is that you don't actually have to pick like one variation. You can just pick like headline from this one, sub-headline from this one, body copy from this one, right? You can just build it like that. It's like more like Lego blocks, right? It's not like, okay, I'm going to go for variation 2, and then you have to pick every single thing. So that's really important to understand. Now, as I said, we're probably going to go for this headline and this sub-headline. In terms of CTA, we have learn more, we have discover the truth, and we have hydrate smarter. So the way I'm thinking about this is like learn more and discover the truth kind of like implies that we're going to direct it to some sort of an educational content, like a blog or a YouTube video or something like that, right? Which is not going to be the case in this email, okay? So what I would probably go for is hydrate smarter. You can come up with something better. You can just do something generic like shop now or something like that. That's fine as well. But honestly, I really like this one. So we're probably going to go with hydrate smarter. Let's see body copy. So we have most people think salt causes dehydration, but that's a myth. Your body needs sodium to function, blah, blah, blah. This is not bad. You heard cut down on salt, but if you're active, that's the worst advice you can take. Sodium helps your body absorb water, prevent cramps, and keep energy steady. Element delivers the right ratio of electrolytes your body craves, minus all the junk. This is pretty good. I like the whole angle of like, you heard cut down on salt, but if you're active, that's the worst advice you can take. I like, again, the same principle. Like here, we have this is the myth. And then we're breaking it and we're hooking you in to find out what actually the truth is, right? So I like that. And then we have this one. Straight deplete sodium, element restores it, helping you stay sharp, hydrated, and ready for more. No sugar, no garbage, just science-backed electrolytes, trusted by top performance and health experts alike. This is okay. Like all 3 of these body copy options are fine, but I think we'll go with this one again, okay? And then we have the bridge section. So visual infographic showing water alone versus water plus element. So basically, like, why should you actually drink element? Like, what's the difference between drinking only water? That's the idea. That's pretty good. I love that. Then we have this like myth versus fact chart debunking salt misconceptions. That is fine. That's fine. I don't know. And then we have this one after the testimonial quote. I don't like this one, to be honest. Like testimonials I don't think it would fit this kind of why, because we're trying to more like educate the customer instead of giving them some sort of testimonial. So we're probably going to go for this one, okay? And then we have the product section. So element recharge sticks, so it's kind of going to be like one product, and then we're talking about some USPs and that sort of stuff. That's fine, but honestly, I think we're going to go for this one because this one is the same. Again, one product, and then we're just selling that one. But I like this one, top picks for performance, right? And then we're sharing 3 products, and that's kind of like the whole email. I like that. So last CTA, we have explore flavors, try element, CL flavors. All of these are pretty good, but I think we're going to go for this CTA, CL flavors. I like that one, but it doesn't really matter. As I said, you can do whatever. Any of these 3 are fine. So design guidelines, we're not going to read this because we're just going to design it. It's not really important. And then I picked this infographic, right? So I tried to get ChatGPT to kind of like help me come up with an actual idea on how we should do this, right? Because I didn't really know exactly how I would start it. And then I told him like, hey, please explain it in as much detail as possible, right? And my dear friend here took this kind of too seriously, to be honest. So like, you're not ready for this. Let me show you what he actually came up with. So this is his response, okay? This is my prompt. Pretty super simple, right? This is his response. So this and this and this and also this and a little bit of this, right? So me being my impatient self, I just couldn't read this whole thing, right? Too long, didn't read. So I just decided to YOLO this, to kind of be like, okay, let's come up with something. So what I saw is that he actually gave us some kind of like stats that we can use. So you can see like water alone, absorption effectiveness, 60%, water plus element, absorption effectiveness, 92%. And then we have cramp reduction likelihood. So we have some pretty cool stats, right? And then I just asked him to come up with one more because we had only 2 to come up with one more. So we have 3 in the end, which is going to be kind of like pretty good, right? We have 3 stats showing that in the email, super simple, but very interesting. And it's also very convincing, like to the argument of actually buying element. So he came up with another one, which is like rehydration time. It's from 40 minutes to 15 minutes, right? And that's about it. Like that's going to be our infographic. So the next thing we need to do is actually design this email. So here we are in a simple Google Doc. So I'm going to show you how to design this, right? So the way you design this, like the way you'll see people design, like not design, actually write copy, right? Is the following way. They type like headline, and they type this headline, right? Subheadline, this is subheadline, right? Whatever. That's fine. You can do that. Absolutely, right? Like literally the way ChatGPT gave you the copy here, you can do it the same way. But I don't like doing it that way. I do it in a different way, right? So the way I do it is like we have a blank Google Doc here. You come here, you insert a table actually, and you insert the table, let's say 1x7, for example. And then you're going to outline the exact structure of every single piece of copy, like where it's going to go, right? And that way you can visualize the email itself way better, which is going to kind of like make it easier to actually design it. I'm not saying that if you're going to write it like headline this, right, that way, I'm not saying that you can't design your email. I'm just saying that this way you'll be able to visualize like kind of like space and all that. You can see like, hey, okay, like if I have headline here and a hero image and this CTA, then I won't have enough space for this, right? So that way you can actually visualize the email itself better, so you can see what you can design and what you can't realistically design. So at the top, we have our logo, and then this is going to be our hero section. So for our hero section, the first thing we need is our headline. So we pick this one, right? The real villain, not sodium. We're going to make this way bigger, like this, for example, make it bold. Then we have our sub headline. We pick this one, right? So we're going to go for that. Sure, Latin sports drinks, got it all wrong. Here's the truth. We're going to make this smaller, like this. Then we're going to make this gap smaller, and then we're going to have our hero image. Now, if you're the one designing this email, you can kind of be like, you can insert the exact image you want or whatever the idea, like hero image, I don't know, a product falling out the box or something like that. You can do that to make it easier for yourself. But if you have a design team or in-house, or if you have an agency, obviously they're going to write this copy for you and do everything, right? But if you have a design team in-house and you're the one writing copy, for example, and you're working with a designer or something like that, whatever, then I probably wouldn't do it this way. I would just write hero image and let him pick the one he wants, right? Because he's a designer, he's probably going to do that better than you. And you're going to make his job easier, so you can just write hero image. But as I said, it's up to the way you do things. So I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'm just giving you an advice, okay? And then we have a CTA. So CTA we said is going to be hydrate smarter, and we're going to make this bigger and bold it. And this is our hero section, right? Then we need to do our body copy. So we pick this one, copy paste it, boom, like that. Make this bigger. I like to do 14. I don't know why. I like to remove these long dashes. To do like smaller dash or comma or something like that, because this just screams ChatGPT and I just don't really like that. It's not really going to be a big issue, like people are not going to really notice it, right? But I just like to remove it, okay? Then we need to do our bridge section. So this is going to be our infographic, right? Put it there like that, boom. Make it bigger just so we can see it better. I'm going to show exactly how we're actually going to use this. And then our product section, so it's going to be this, right? Now I'm going to show you actually, so these are going to be our notes here. Let me show you how we actually build this product section. So we're going to do, first of all, our headline, like that, boom, make this way bigger, like that, for example, bold it, whatever. And then we're going to insert a table like this. And then we're going to have citrus salt, product image. And then we're going to have shop now. Then we're going to have raspberry salt, product image, shop now. And then we'll have mango chili, product image, shop now, like that. Let's just make these product images not bold because it pisses me off for some reason. I don't know why. That way. And then, so very important thing, you can see that every single product, we're showing the products, and every single product has its own CTA. This is very, very important. Like I see people or brands, right, having like product section, they're showing the product, it's pretty cool. They have like the product name and they have the product image, but the product itself doesn't have a CTA. So what happens, like I'm sitting here reading this email in my notes, right? And I read all this and I see the product section and I read this, whatever, and I see like, okay, raspberry salt. And I'm like, okay, I want to buy raspberry salt. How do I buy it, right? Like, okay, they'll have like shop now or something like that here. And I can click it, and then I have to go through the website and find the product itself. That's just too much friction. You're making it too hard for the customer to buy, right? Don't do that, okay? Every single product has its own CTA, and then in the end, we have another big CTA here, who's going to be see all flavors, right? And that way, the customers can be like, okay, I like mango chili, I click here, and I buy mango chili. I don't like any of these three, I click here, and I see what other flavors you got, right? Super simple, right? Just make it simple for the customer to give you money. That's the whole point of your business. I don't see why people do it like, they either do it like, they show the products, and then they don't have the CTA, or they show the products like this, they have CTAs, but then they don't have the general CTA, main CTA, which is going to take them to the product, to the like bestsellers page or to the website homepage or whatever. So it doesn't make sense, okay? Don't do that. Then we don't need this row, and this is our copy pretty much, okay? So this is our copy. It's pretty much ready for design. So the next thing we're going to do is actually go inside of Figma, where we're going to design this email. So the way we design the email, the way we start, so this is Figma. If you don't know, literally figma.com, whatever, I'm going to show you exactly how to use it. So the way I like to start designing is by actually creating a background. You can see we have this page, which is a background by itself, right? But the way I like to start is the following way. I come here, press this rectangle, right? Or you can just press R on your keyboard. So press R like this, and you have a rectangle, right? I like to drag it like this, make it big, like that, for example. So you can see the dimensions down there. So you can see width 4200 and height 1900. So that is probably not going to be enough in terms of height, but in terms of width is going to be enough. But let's make it even bigger just to have space, okay? So that's how I like to start. And then I like to make the color of this kind of like grayish, similar to this color here, okay? So something like this, for example. Now you can also change the background color of this page, right? You just click here and you can change the color so we can make it slightly darker as well. And then what you can do is you can actually come here and lock this, okay? Lock it, and then that way you can't select it, you can't really manipulate it, we'll just have a background. Why do you do it that way? I don't know, I just like doing it that way. You can organize your email better, so you can make this page, which is going to be like your campaigns, and then you can make another rectangle for your welcome flow and for your abandoned cart flow, whatever. I just like having it that way. That way it can be organized better. We can actually separate different emails for different purposes, right? So that's our background, that's the way we start. The next thing you do is you create a frame. So the way you create a frame is by either pressing an F on your keyboard, so F like whatever formula, I don't know, or you click here, this button here, or if it's not selected, you can come here, click this arrow and select either frame, section, or slice. So you click F, you click left click, right, and the frame appears. So what you need to do with this frame is the following. You need to first change the width. So in terms of width, this is going to be the same for every single email you make. So you're going to change it to 600. Now I see people doing like 1,000, for example, 800. I like to do 600 personally because I just think it works the best that way. But you can do different sizes, honestly. But you're just going to pick one, okay? Most people, most agencies, most people who are going to design your emails are going to do 600. That is kind of like the convention. But you can do it in a different way. I just don't advise you do it that way, okay? 600, just stick to 600 actually. Let's not overcomplicate it, okay? So width 600, height is going to depend on the actual content of your email. So if you have more content, naturally you're going to have more like longer email, right? If you have less content, less shorter email, right? Super simple. So we're going to extend it for now. So we have some space, and then we're going to make it shorter if we need to. So we have our frame. The next thing we need to do, move the frame here, come back to our copy here. We're going to screenshot this doc, right? So we have our copy, come back here, sorry, paste it here, and then we have our copy, make it bigger, like that, for example, and we have our copy and our email side by side. So as I said, this way, you can kind of like visualize, you can see like, okay, here we're going to have our headline and then subheadline, then hero image and then CTA. That way you can, as you can see, visualize the whole thing way better. Now, the next thing I would like to do is actually change the color of this frame to black, because I feel like this email is going to be kind of like black. You can see that's kind of like their color, black, white, and then we have this accent color. This we're going to find out what exactly it is in a minute. Now, the first thing we need to do here is actually place their logo. Now, I searched for the logo on their website, like I tried copy and pasting this logo from here. I tried finding it online. Okay, I didn't really try that hard, to be honest, but still, didn't really find pretty good results. So what we're going to do, just make it super simple, is we're just going to screenshot it from here. Obviously, for your own brand, right, I hope you have kind of like a PNG, JPEG, SVG, whatever, of your own logo. Like you don't actually have to screenshot it from your website. I'm pretty sure most of you guys will have that. So that's what I would do, okay? So like hopefully you won't have to do this, but we're going to screenshot it for the purpose of this video and crop it so we have our logo. So you can see it's not the best quality, but it'll be enough just to show you exactly how to do this, okay? Frame is not black, as I can see, so let's make it black. That is pretty good. So we have our logo. So what you can see is this red line or orange line or whatever the color of this is. You can see this shows you when the object that you're moving around is centered. So you can see this is centered right now. So that's how we want to have it. Now, the next thing we need to do is actually find a hero image. So before writing all this copy, right, you can see like in the doc itself, you can see the headline, subheadline, and that of the hero image. And it's going to be the exact same way here. But you need to find the hero image first because you're going to build your hero section around the hero image, because different hero images are going to demand different copy. Not in terms of like text, right, the actual text. You're not going to change the text, but there was like the positioning, the way you're going to organize things, right? You're going to have to change that based on the hero image you choose, right? So that's why we started with a hero image first. So give me a couple of seconds or minutes, whatever. I'm going to find a nice hero image, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to keep designing this. So I found the hero image. This is going to be very, very good, I think. We just have to crop it first, like this, for example. Let's see, let's make it very nice, like that. And then we have here, let me see, like that, boom. And that is our hero image. So what we want to do is actually make the height of the width of this 600. Now, what you can see here is when this thing here is selected, when this thing here is blue, you can see how it's blue right now. What it's going to do is like when you're changing the actual dimensions, like either width or height, is going to change the other metric, right? The other dimension, kind of like proportionally, right? So if this was like 100, if they were like the same size, let's say 100, and this is like 100, you can see. And I select this, when it's changed this to 150, it's going to change this to 150 as well. If this was like 300 and this was 150, right, and I change this from 300 to 600, the height is going to go through to 300 because the width is 2 times as height, right? So that is like something you can do. I recommend you keep it on for most of your images, because if you keep it off, it's going to screw around with your image, right? You can see how it's stretchy right now. So keep it on and it's going to be fine. Now, we're going to put it in here. The problem we can see with this image, it's pretty good, right? The problem we see is the fact that the background of the image doesn't match the background of this. Now you can leave it like this and have like this going to be like your header, and then the email starts here. The problem is that we don't really have much space here for writing the copy, right? Because we have to write copy here. And the problem, another problem, like you could do like add a rectangle, right? Put it inside the frame, add a rectangle here, right? And then match the color of the rectangle to the color of the background. It's going to kind of be smooth and all that. The problem with that is the fact that this background here is not a solid color background. You can see it's gray, but it has kind of different shades of gray. So you can't really do that. So the way we're going to solve this problem is actually very, very simple. And it's actually very cool. This is a very cool trick I'm going to show you. And this is a trick I actually haven't seen many people do. So you're going to learn something very, very cool and very underground. So the way you do this is the following way, okay? Let me just have a quick coffee break first. Hope you don't mind. So the way we're going to do this is the following way. You're going to click this image, okay? And you're going to copy and paste it. The way you can do this is by either doing like Control-C, Control-F, or Command-C, Command-V, sorry, not F. Wherever you're using Mac, Windows, I don't care. You can either do that, but the way you can copy things in Figma is also very, very simple. You select the image, right? You hold Alt on your keyboard, right? And you just drag with left click like this, and you just copy your image. So the way we're going to extend this top section here, like this hero section here, is the following way. You're going to have this image selected like this, right? Then you're going to flip it. So you come here, you click this, flip it once, twice, and then you mirror it like this. This is the next, the button next to the flipping thing, okay? You mirror it like this, and then you're going to make it smaller. So you're going to hold Control on your keyboard or Command if it's on Mac, and do this, boom. And if you drag this thing here, you're going to see that it actually matches pretty much perfectly. Like you can see that it is a very, very smooth transition. It's not perfect. You can see the line here because it's like, it has that mirror effect, right? But it is actually very, very smooth. So the way we're going to keep extending it is the following way. You take this rectangle again, copy it, right? Flip, flip, mirror, and you can see it matches again. The same thing, flip, flip, mirror, and we have our hero section extended like this. Super simple. Now you can see that we actually can see the logo. So here's our logo. The reason we can't see it is because it's behind these layers, right? So the way you can bring it to front is by actually either like right-clicking this and clicking like bring to front, or by literally just taking this and dragging it here above these, okay? So we have our logo, we have our hero section, right? You can see like that is not the smoothest here, but actually when we put our copy, right, when we put our headline and subheadline, it's not really going to be visible at all, you'll see. So it's actually pretty good solution. Or what you can do as well is like you can use these AI image extenders online. You can do that as well, and it's going to extend this top part. But this is a pretty good solution as well, so it's up to you, obviously. So we need to write copy right now. The problem with that is the fact that we don't know their font. Now, the way we're going to find out what font they're using is by actually using a font finder Chrome extension. Obviously, for your own brand, I really hope you know what font you're using, so you don't really have to do this part, but I'll have to do it. Lucky for me, I found out what font they're using before these videos, so I can avoid wasting your time. They're using a font called Gotham SSM, which is a font that I actually had to download because it's not really a native font in Figma. So, the real villain, not sodium, right? Not sodium. This is our headline, like that. Boom, perfect. Just kidding, we have to make it bigger, okay? We have to change the font first, Gotham SSM, like that, and then we're going to make it bigger. So let's say we're going to, so you change the size of the font here, you can see, make it, let's say 35, like that. Now, I would like to change this from narrow book to actually bold, like this. We might make this slightly smaller, like 34, for example, like that. That is perfect. Now, what I would like to do as well is make this thing stand out more. So the way we're going to do that is by actually, what I think we should do actually is change the color of this question part of the headline, right? So change the color to this accent color. I think that would look perfect. So the way we do that is the following way, right? You use a Chrome extension, right? So if you don't know your exact hex code you're using for your brand, don't worry. You can just find it out by using a color picker. So you literally type in Chrome like color picker, Chrome extension, whatever, download any one of them. It's all the same, doesn't really matter. So I have this one. You probably won't be able to see the extension itself because it doesn't really get recorded, but you'll see in a minute what I can do. So I pick a color here, right? And I get a code, copy it, boom, come back to Figma, and we have the color itself. Then we're going to select only the part we want to change the color for, right? Select it for that, and just paste the color code here. And you can see we have a different color. I think it looks better this way. Then the next thing I would do is add a shadow. So the way you add a shadow is you select the text, right? Come here, effects, and boom, you can change what the effect you want. So you can see inner shadow, drop shadow, layer blur, background blur, all of that shit. We want drop shadow, okay? Drop shadow, we're going to change the position. So you can change like y-axis, x-axis, all that. We're going to put like 4, blur is 4, fine. And then you can change the actual opacity here. So opacity is 25. We want to make it more like 70, so it stands out more, maybe even 80. Like that, and you can see how it has kind of like that 3D effect. Now you can play around with the blur as well, so you can remove blur, and that way it's not really blurry. I don't like that. I like having some sort of blur like this. Maybe, yeah, 4 was actually perfect, and that way it kind of like has more depth, right? So we have our headline, and then we need our subheadline. So for our subheadline, we are just going to take it from here, right? Copy and paste this, boom, come back to Figma, paste it here. Now it's a different color, right? We want to make it white, so we're just going to select it, change the color here, make it white, okay? And we're going to make it smaller. So from 34, I would just put it to maybe 28, let's say, like this, make it smaller, like that. And then we need to center it. The way you center it is come here and literally click this, and it's going to get centered. We want to have it in 2 rows like that, and I would like to make it not bold, but maybe medium, like this. 28 might be too much, 25 maybe. Nah, 28's good actually. So the reason we're making it this big, for example, is, as I said, we want to make it mobile optimized. So the way we make it mobile optimized is by making the text bigger itself, right? Because if you make it too small, if we were to make this headline like 18 and have it like this, people won't be able to read it on mobile very well, right? So that way, you're adding too much friction, too much work, they're just going to close the email and read something else. So you need to make it easy for people to actually open the email and read everything without actually having to squint or hurt their eyes or use like magnifying glass or some shit. So make everything as big as possible without making it ugly, okay? Now we have our headline, we have our subheadline, we have our hero section here, which is pretty good. Now we need to add a CTA, so basically a button, right? So you can see their buttons look this way, so it's kind of like round, and then they have their text inside, and then you see how they're not making it all caps, they're just making it like initial caps, right? So that's what we're going to mimic. So the way to do that is by actually selecting a rectangle here again, click here, you make a rectangle, you just change the size, let's say like this, and then we're going to add coordinate radius here. So let's say 50. Yeah, 50 looks pretty much good, like that. Now, very important thing to understand, to remember, like if you're going to take one thing from this video, let it be this thing, please. We have to remove the effect here, sorry, before I tell you the big truth, the big secret. You can see how this thing has a shadow. I don't like that, we're going to remove that. So the way to do that, come here, click the minus sign, boom, and it doesn't have a shadow anymore. So the big truth, the big secret is make your CTA, make your button as big as possible, please. Because if you make it small, as I said, you're going to make it harder for people to click it. You're just going to add too much friction. It's not going to catch enough attention. It's not going to be kind of like tempting to actually click it. This way, make it big, make it stand out, different color, whatever, so people can actually see it and be like, okay, I want to click this. So we have a button here. You can see it's big, to the point, like in your face. Make it big enough so a blind person can actually see it, okay? And we're going to change the color. So the color is going to be this one, right? And then we're going to add our text. So our text was hydrate smarter, right? Yeah, hydrate smarter, like that. Boom, put it in here. Now we can see that their CTAs have kind of like bold text inside, so we're going to make it bold, like this. That looks pretty much good. Now you can see there the text is way smaller than the button itself, which is something I don't like. So we're going to make it different in a different way, right? Because I don't care, it's my video, so I'm going to do it this way. So how do you make this in a button, right? You can't really move it around, you can see. So what you're going to do is actually click this, click the text, right? Then hold Command or Control on your keyboard, click the rectangle, then you have both of them selected, right click, group selection, and then you have this, then you have this, right? Again, the same thing, group selection, like that, and then you have, hydrate smarter is not in group, okay. And then you have this button as one object. First try, trust me. So we have this, right? Our button. Now, what you can notice here is that the transition is not exactly perfect. You can see this is black and this is gray, but it's pretty good here. So what we can do is just put this here and hide it. And that way we have like a smoother transition, right? You can just center it this way and it actually looks pretty good. You can do that. What you can also do is kind of like, let's try this just to show you what you can also do in these situations. So you can take this rectangle, make a rectangle, right? Make the width 600, right? And then what we're going to do is actually make this a gradient. So you come here to change the color, right? And then you select this. So this is going to make it a gradient. So what the gradient is this thing, right? So you can see how it starts with one color, right? With this grayish color, and then it ends in black. So it has that transition, that smooth transition, that fade kind of like, okay? So what we're going to do is change this to black as well, but we're going to change the opacity here to 0, okay? So you can see when I drag this here, you can see how it smoothens the whole thing out. Now in this case, this wasn't really necessary because we did have the pretty smooth, cool transition with our CTA. But that is something you can do if you don't really have that transition. You can't really do it with a CTA. This is something you can do to make your transition smoother. Now you can see how the button itself is actually behind us. That's because this rectangle is above the button here. So you're just going to drag it below and we have this. So you can see how smooth this thing is. So this is our hero section. It looks pretty good if you ask me, right? Let me know what you think in the comments or something like that, whatever. Now the next thing we need to do is actually do our body copy. So we're going to come back here to our document. Here, first try again. Our document, we're just going to copy and paste body copy like this, come back here, text, right, click here, boom, that's our body copy. Then we're going to make it smaller because it was in one line. We're going to break it down in a couple of lines so you can actually fit in the email, boom, like that. And then we are actually going to change the size. So in terms of size, what I like to do is like either 22 or 24 when it comes to body copy. So that way it's actually readable on the phone, right? 22, 24, it's up to you. I would like to do 22 for this one. And then I wouldn't like to make it bold. I think it should be like narrow medium, for example, or narrow book. Narrow book is actually the best one probably. So that way, and then you break it down like this. And we have our body copy. So that's our body copy. The next thing we need to do is design our infographic. Now, this is probably going to be the most difficult part, right? But what I think we should do, actually, let me go ahead, grab a couple of things I need for this, come back to you, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to design this infographic. Okay, so I found what I need. Basically, the angle we already talked about is basically water alone, like just water, right? or water plus element. Like that's the idea, okay? So what I think we should do is literally add these two pictures, and then we're going to break down the science, like all the stats that I showed you, like rehydration time and absorption effectiveness, all of that crap, right? So the way we're going to do that is actually take it, right? Put it in here, okay? And we have it side by side. Now, in terms of size, you can say this is like 250. That's what I think would be a perfect size. We can make it slightly smaller. So you have to keep in mind, like this thing is 600 pixels wide. So we can make it slightly smaller, maybe like 230, for example, like that. So that way we have enough space in between, like that, right? We can group them so that way we can center them better. And this is centered, it's perfect, right? So the next thing I think we should do is actually add some sort of a background behind it, like this, for example, and make it some sort of a grayish color, like that, for example, okay? Center this, and then we're going to put it behind so we can see this properly, and that is going to be kind of like the foundation of our infographic. We're going to drag it down so we can actually put some text here. So in terms of text, we're going to say here, water plus element, sorry, and then we're going to have water alone, like that. Now, as I said, like make all the text and everything you have in the email as big as possible, so it's actually without like making it ugly or without making it not functional, right? Like if you were to make this 30, it would just be too big, unnecessary. It's just taking too much space, so that is too big, right? But here, for example, we can make this like 28, for example, and it's going to fit very well, right? So we have water plus element and water alone. We're going to change this to bold, for example. And then what I would like to do maybe to make it stand out even more is change the color here to water plus element. And then water, we're going to pick some sort of a bluish color, like watery color, like this, for example. And then we're going to take that same color and copy and paste it here. So we have water plus element or water alone. I like that. Then what I think we should do is actually make these two, add like a corner radius to maybe 30, like that. That looks better, right? And then we should add corner radius here as well, maybe 40, like that. And that is the start of our infographic, and it's looking pretty good. Now, the next thing we need to do is actually, we're going to make this here, like this. That's good, right? The next thing we need to do is actually design the section here, which is going to break down all the stats, like the 3 stats that we picked. So the way I think we should go about this is the following way. We're going to make a rectangle here, drag it like this, make it as wide as these two pictures, make it match it, right? And we're going to turn the color to white. Then we're going to do corner radius as well. Let's say 30 again. That is pretty good. We're going to make it bigger like this, and then we're going to add text. So the first stat we did, let's scroll down, was absorption effectiveness, right? So we're going to come here, type absorption effectiveness, right? Like that. And we're going to drag it here. Boom, like that, center it. Change the font to bold maybe. Yeah, let's do bold. Change this to like 25, for example, like this. Make this slightly bigger. And then we're going to do our stats, right? So the stats from absorption effectiveness was like from 92% to 60%, right? So we have 92% and this is like 60%. Now we're going to make this bigger, right? Because this is going to be the most important part. So let's do 32, like that, 60, 32. We can make it even black, like this. I mean, like even thicker. So we have that, right? What I would like to do is actually change the color of this again to make it stand out more, and change the color of this again just to make it clear, like this is about element, this is about water, right? And then what we can do as well here is add a stroke. So stroke is going to be this outline here. You can see you can change the thickness here, like the width. So 2, you can see 3. I like 2 maybe. Yeah, 2 looks pretty good. So it stands out enough. It's actually pretty cool, right? So we have that, and then we're going to select all of this. So click here, hold Shift, 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 and group this, and we have this as one object, right? So we have that. Now this is, if you agree, it's cool, right? But it's kind of boring. So what I think we should do is add an icon. The way to do this is you come to this website called flaticon.com, right? And you just type what you need, like what kind of an icon you need. So for the first one, like for this one, we have something about absorption. So we're going to literally type absorption. You might think this is kind of like too specific or whatever, but you'll actually be surprised like how specific and how cool their icons are. You can see we have actually 728 absorption icons, right? So we're going to pick one. Let's go for this one. Doesn't really matter. You just come here, copy PNG, right? And you can just use it, right? Make it smaller, like this, for example. Put it in here, and we have our icon. And this looks better if you ask me. We're going to group it like this, and that is group it like this. Sorry, pisses me off sometimes. Add it to this group, okay? Add it here. Okay, why can I see it? Can I see it? Okay, it doesn't matter. We're not going to group it. It pisses me off right now. We made too many groups here, clearly. So we're going to have that. Now, what we can do as well is add some sort of a shadow here, okay? So we're going to do 4, 4, and then use 70 again. And then it kind of like has more depth again. Copy and paste this here like that. And then we're going to change the stats. So the next stat we have is frame production. So let's use this as notes here, right? We're going to put it here just to know what we're doing. So this is going to be frame reduction like that. And then this is going to be 78%, and then this is going to be 30%. The one thing I like, the way ChatGPT came up with this thing, is like, we have very specific numbers. 92%, right? 78%. Now you can see it's not very specific for these, like 60%, 30%, whatever. We can make it maybe more specific, like 31%, 63%, or something like that. The reason that is so important is because if you have very specific numbers like this, it's going to be way more believable. If you were to say like, hey, it's going to reduce your cramps by 60%, and it's going to have an absorption effectiveness of like 50%, whatever. That way, it's not very believable. It's kind of like too basic, not really specific, right? If it's very specific, people are not going to be like, oh yeah, he just came up with this, right? They're going to be like, okay, this is true, right? Just because it's very specific. So keep this in mind, right? When you're writing emails like this, use specific numbers when you can, right? Instead of saying we have 4,000 reviews, say we have 4,132 5-star reviews. That way, people are going to be like, okay, like these guys are serious. Like this is true, right? If you just say 4,000, just people don't even register that because it's not very specific enough. It's not interesting enough, right? So we need next icon. So next icon is going to be something about cramps, right? So we're going to type cramp here, and we're going to pick one. Let's just do this one. Coffee, boom, cramp, right? Copy and paste this here like that, and literally just paste this icon, and we have cramp icon here. Let's make it slightly smaller because it's a bigger icon than this one, like that, and that is our cramp icon. The next thing we need to do, copy and paste it here and change the actual stat, right? Now you can see this, you can see these numbers here. That tells me that the gap between these two is the same as the gap between these two, which is very important. That's why I love Figma, and that is something Canva, I think, can really do this well. So that's why I like using Figma. So rehydration time from 40 to 15 minutes. So we're going to come back here. Rehydration time from, it's going to be 15 minutes here, and then it's going to be 40 minutes here. Now, as I said, if this was like 13 minutes or 17 minutes, it would probably be even better, but let's leave it like this. And then we're going to pick an icon for time, rehydration time, because this is going to be about time. We're going to pick this, copy, and then we're going to come here, right? Copy and paste this icon and then change it like this. And then we have rehydration time graphic like this. And this pretty much looks good, honestly. We can just make this slightly smaller like that. And that is our infographic. Now, is this the best infographic you've ever seen? Probably not. But is it bad? Not at all. Like, that's what I'm trying to prove with this video. I'm someone who can't really design shit, like literally, right? That's why at my agency, I have killer designers that are going to make like sick emails, like literally amazing designs. Like sometimes I'm like, wow, how did you do this? But you can see the reason I'm making this video with someone who doesn't know how to design is to prove to you that you can actually learn how to do this. If you want to do it for your own brand by yourself, you can learn how to do it. It's not very difficult. It's just about a couple of different techniques. Like, hey, like, first of all, you learn how to use Figma, like, hey, this is a rectangle, this is a frame, right? All that stuff, and then learn how to actually pick the right hero image, then write this, add a couple of effects, make it a little bit more interesting. But overall, it's very, very simple, right? Am I good? As I said, I don't have that eye. I don't know how to add specific details that are going to make the email pop, right? As I said, that's why I have killer designers working at my agency. But like, you don't really even need to do that. As I said, if you're someone who's doing this by yourself, like you're most likely a small brand, so it's not really going to make that big of a difference. It's way more important to do all the other basics well, like the ones we actually talked about in this free e-commerce email marketing course in the other modules, right? If you nail those, design itself, it's not really going to matter unless it's completely terrible, right? Now, the next thing we need to do is actually create our product section, right? So let's extend this even more. And then we're going to add title here. So topics for performance, like that, boom, put it there. And then what we're going to do is create a couple of rectangles. So we have rectangle 1, rectangle 2, rectangle 3. Now, as I said, we'll have to do a little bit of math here. If you hate math, I'm sorry, that's the way it is, okay? So you can see this thing is 600 pixels wide. So we can't really do 200 pixels wide for these because they're going to be just like this, right? One next to each other. So we can't really do that. We need to have some gap in between. We could do 150. So that's like 450 in total. But that's kind of like too small, to be honest. Like we won't really have enough space for our products. So what I think we should do is something like 175 or 180. So let's do 180, for example. Lead this, copy and paste this. And this way, you can see we have just enough space in between. And it has enough space to actually have enough space to actually write and have a nice product image and the CTA, right? So 180 is probably going to be perfect. We can do it in 175, but let's stick with 180. Now, we need to get these product images. So we're going to go back to their website, right? Come here. Select the product we want. So we want citrus salt. This is the one, copy image, right? Come back here, paste it here. We're going to crop it, don't worry. Then we need raspberry salt, right? Copy image, come back here, here. This, and then we need mango chili, exactly. So mango, okay, we don't really have a good image of mango chili, for example, for some reason. Okay, we have it. Boom, and come here, right? So what we're going to do right now is just crop these. So the way we're going to crop them is the following way. We're just going to take this crop, right? Take this crop. Why it's not working? Oh, something happened. Something weird. Oh, we have both selected. Crop it like this. Boom. Crop it that way, and that way, and that way. and that way, right? And we have our product number 1. Then we're going to crop this one. We're going to try to make them similar in size, right? Obviously, I'm probably not going to make it perfect, but when you're doing this for your brand, actually doing this for your own list, right? An email that you're actually going to send, make it like perfect, make it all the same size, like to the best of your ability. But it's not going to be a big difference here as well. So crop this, and crop this, and crop this, and crop this, right? And we have these products, right? The next thing we're going to do is change the color of these to white, like this. And then we're going to start adding the products, or actually we can write the product names first. So first of all, we're going to have citrus salt, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, citrus salt. We're going to make the actual font size smaller. So let's say 25-ish, like that. Or let's do 24, like that. Then we're going to have raspberry. So the reason I did 24 instead of 25 is because, yes, this thing can fit like even if it's 28, you can see. But this thing can't fit if it's 28. So we're going to do 24, and we'll actually have to break it down in 2 rows. That's fine. The way you're going to line it, let me show you in a minute. Let me just do this one, mango chili, like that. And then we're going to align it with the actual middle of these two, right? So we're going to take this, boom, and then we're going to align this like that and make it centered. And then this thing is going to get aligned with this one, make it centered, boom. We have our product names. Now, the product names, I don't think they should be bold. We're going to make them like medium. Actually, bold is not bad. This was black. That's why it was too tough. So we're going to do bold, right? And then we're going to put the product images. So make it smaller like this, boom, put it here. We're going to extend these, make this even smaller like that. That is pretty much perfect. We're going to extend this one as well, and then this one as well. Boom. Raspberry salt, we're going to make it slightly smaller. So we have height here, which is 184. So we're going to change the height of this to 184 as well. And we have this. This is pretty much perfect size, right? We're going to just drag it down a little bit because it doesn't fit very well here. Even here, yeah, like that. And like that. Let's make it centered, like that. And we're going to take this one. We said 184, make it smaller, put it here, right? And we have this, pretty good, right? The next thing we need to do are these kind of like singular CTAs for every product, right? So we're going to take this one, change the color here to change the text here to shop now, and we're going to make the button itself smaller, like this, for example. And we're going to take the text and make it like 22, for example, like that. And that is our button. Can it fit here? It can't really. So we're going to make it even smaller. Take this, make it like this, extend this so we can actually center it the right way, and we have our product section pretty much done. This looks pretty good. Now, the one thing you can do as well is like you can take the text, like the actual product names, and you can, for example, change the color of it to the actual color product, right? A product color, right? So you can take this one, for example, and take this color picker and change it to this color or something like that, make it more fun. But we're not going to do that, first of all, because we have mango chili, and I don't have a clue how we're going to make this color, right? We can do kind of like a gradient, right? But that would kind of look stupid. So we're not going to do it for that reason. And also, I think it would going to be like too much, okay? So we're going to make this, center it here like that, make this shorter, and then take it here, center it like that, shorter. And that is our product section. The next thing we need is our big main CTA. It's going to be see all flavors like that. And that is going to be our main CTA. Maybe even make it slightly bigger. Do this like 28-ish, like that. And that is our main CTA. And that, ladies and gentlemen, once we do this thing and make it slightly shorter like this, is pretty much the entire email. What I think we should as well here is add corner radius to maybe 30 and 30 and 30 here as well. And then actually we're going to select these, group them, select these, group them. Give me a second, please. And then once we take these here, put them up here, take this thing, put it here. This is pretty much the entire email. So let's see what we made here. So we have our hero section, looks pretty good. We have our button now. And one thing that is very important with the buttons is that this is above the fold, which means that you have a button up here so people can actually come here, open the email itself on the phone without scrolling. They can see the button, right? So we have a button they can click immediately. So that's our hero section. Then we have our body copy. Then we have our infographic. So our body copy, pretty short, to the point. We have a couple of sentences only. Infographic, pretty cool, pretty interesting, right? And then we have our product section, and then we have our main CTA. Every single product has its own CTA. People can shop, right? And that's it, right? So let me know what you think about this email in the comments, right? Now, what I'm going to do is actually show you how we're going to go ahead, export this email into Klaviyo and make it ready for sending. So what we're going to do here is actually slice this email, right? So the way you do this is by pressing S on your keyboard, you drag this down and you have a slice. So this is going to basically, when you export this slice, this is basically going to just take this part of the email that you just sliced. Now, a good practice is actually making these slices like about 800 or less. This is a little bit more. So the way we're going to slice is basically every single CTA, every single button that is going to direct people to a different page is going to have its own slice. But let's say this entire part is going to only direct it to this, right? There are no CTAs here. You can't really go ahead and make this big of a slice because it's not really going to load very fast because the image itself is going to be very big, right? So what we're going to do actually is make the slice smaller like this. We're going to have more smaller slices so they can load faster on their phone, because if people open the email and the email itself doesn't load immediately, they're just going to click away. They don't have enough patience for that, okay? So make the slice smaller like this. So this is going to be our slice 1. Then we're going to make another slice like this, for example. Now, this is likely too big, as I said. When doing this for your own brand, I would probably make 2 slices out of this, like this, for example, and this, right? But for the sake of this video, just to avoid wasting your time, we're going to do this as 1 slice. But as I said, for your own brand, try to stay around 800 or less, okay? So we have this one, which is 1000, fine. And then I'm going to show you how to slice these. So for these, you have to slice them like this, right? So we're going to take this, boom, center it here. So you can see the orange cross here tells you that you're actually matching the pixel perfectly. Boom, like that. Now, what is very important here is that since this is like 600 pixels wide, it's very important you actually make these slices 200 each, right? So 200 each, because they have to be the same size. So we're going to name them like 3.1. They have to be the same size because if they're not the same size, they're not going to get built inside of Klaviyo the way they should be, right? So we're going to make them the same size like that, 200, boom. And then this one, we can actually just take this one and copy and paste it here, drag it like that. And then we have 3 slices. So it's going to be our 3.2 and this is going to be our 3.3, right? And then this one is going to be our last slice because this button is going to take them to a different page, right? It's not going to take them to mango chili. It's going to take them to homepage or product page or whatever. So we have this. And these are our slices, okay? So the next thing we need to do is actually select all of these slices. The way you do that, you click the first one, you hold shift, and then you click the last one. It's going to select all the slices, right? You come here, click export. You select 2x. You can do even 3x. I like to do 2x. I like to export them as JPEG, and then you export them, right? It's going to download them as a zip file, as a zip folder on your computer, right? The next thing we need to do is the following. So the next thing we need to do is we actually need to come to this website called I Love image, right? And we're going to compress these images, right? Because when you have them this way, right, they're too big, right? They're just the files are just too big, so that way they're going to be very difficult to actually upload into Klaviyo because it's going to take too much time to load. So we're just going to take the slices, upload in here, just from the folder from the download, right? Upload them, compress image, right? It's going to compress it, download. Again, it's going to download it as a zip file to your computer, and then we're going to upload it to Klaviyo. So let's go to Klaviyo right now. So here we are inside of Klaviyo. So as you can see, I have a dummy account here. Nothing is connected, Shopify, all that, but it doesn't matter because we don't need it. So the way we're going to upload emails, so it doesn't really matter whether you do it for campaigns or flows or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to show you an example of flows or campaigns. Well, let's do campaigns. So build your own and we're going to upload it, right? So campaign name, test, whatever, single channel, continue. In terms of list, we're going to send it to our email list. Doesn't really matter. There's some understanding on, whatever. We don't care. So we're going to come here, create, right? So you'll probably have some templates pre-built inside of Klaviyo. I'm not sure, but we're going to start from scratch, right? So we have this. Let's delete everything. So this is what we start with. So the first thing I like to do is come here to styles and remove this margin on top. So we're going to make it 0. So it actually starts from here. That way you have a little bit more space when you're sending to your to mobile users, especially. They'll have a little bit more space, a little bit more on email that they can see immediately without scrolling, which means that you have a bigger above the fold section. So that's one thing I like to do always. So you come here, you take image, drag it here, and you have your image. Then you're going to select the image and upload it here, right? So you're going to take the folder you just compressed, the compressed one, right? You come here, unzip it, whatever. Come here, upload it, and you have your hero section. So in terms of alt text, you have to put it. I mean, you don't have to put it, but it's pretty good practice because Google, when it detects only images, it might look a little bit spammy, but if you have some alt text, that way it's going to detect like, oh, they have some alt text, and it's going to be like, oh, okay, fine. One thing that is very important is that your alt text isn't spam words, right? So you can't really use 30% off or discount or sale or something like that, something that's like spammy, okay? You have to use some real words, like something that is not spammy, right? So we can use the real villain, not sodium, right? That is fine because it's not spammy. Sugar, Latin, sports, drinks. Got it all wrong. Here is the truth. I mistype a couple of things. Doesn't really matter. Then you're going to put the link from your website. So we're just going to take the link literally from element.com. So it's going to be drinkelement.com. And this, when they click on this image, when they open the email on their phone, they click the button, right? It's going to take them to drinkelement.com, right? So that's how you build it, right? Then you come here, next one, boom, same process. You take the actual like image, right? Upload it here, okay? Then you literally come here, you can type this as your alt text. You heard, cut down on salt. Now I'm not going to type the whole thing or copy and paste it, whatever, just don't want to waste your time. But that's how you do it. And then this is going to be drinkelement.com, right? And then the way you build the product section, that's the one that's going to be very important, is by taking a table, right? You come here, take a table, drag it here, okay? You change this column this cell to image, right? You come to styles, you have to add another column because we're going to have 3 columns, right? You add column here, we have 3 columns, come here to content, change the last column to image as well. Then come back to styles, remove this, make it 0, this 0 and 0. And this way you can see we don't have any padding, right? So you come here, you take your image that you just compressed, right? And you upload it here. Boom, we have our citrus salt, and then you're going to put link to that. So it's going to be like drinkelement.com/citrus salt, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You're just going to find out what your link is, right? You come here, next one, same process, raspberry salt, whatever. And then you have this one. You come here, sorry about that. You come here, next one, 3.3, and that's going to be mango chili. You can add some more alt text. That would be very nice if you were to do that, but doesn't really matter. You can add you can copy and paste, for example, from your mango chili product page. You can copy and paste something about mango chili. So that way Google, as I said, can detect you have more words, right? So you're going to put like drinkelement.com/mango chili or whatever the URL is. Just copy and paste it from your website. And then this one, we have the next image. I keep clicking it this way. I have to find it here. We have this one, and that is our email. Then what you can do is actually preview it, what it looks like on mobile and desktop. So this is what it will look like on mobile. Pretty cool. Okay, seems like our icons did not get downloaded. That is because, I know why. That is because they weren't in the frame. We just didn't put them in the frame for some reason. Whatever. The way you figure that, you come back, you just put drag icons to the frame again, right? And then you just upload it here. Doesn't really matter. You're going to figure it out. I literally told you how to do it, right? But that's a mistake that can happen, right? If it happens, as I said, you literally take the icons to the left side, drag it back into the frame, and then export it again, and it's going to be there, okay? Preview and test, so you can send yourself a preview test email right to your own email address to see what it looks like. Preview it like this, so this is what it will look like on mobile. We can see that we can actually click it, right? To just make sure that we can actually see the button above the fold. Send it to yourself, open it up on your phone, just make sure, right? But you should be able to see it this way on your mobile phone, okay? So that's the email, right? And that's pretty much the whole thing, like from start to finish, from ideation to actually writing copy to then designing it and then uploading to Klaviyo. So if you found value in this video, I highly recommend you actually go ahead, take the prompt from the description and actually use it for your own brand to actually do the same stuff for you, to come up with ideas and then write copy for you. And then you have to take off from there by yourself and design it, because AI can't really do that yet, right? And then if you're like a brand, e-commerce brand doing 50K a month or more, I'd be delighted to actually come here, talk to you. You can book a call with me, first link in the description, and then we're going to make you an offer to run your email marketing on a pure performance basis, which means that there's literally no risk for you. You only pay on other results if we see we're a good fit for you. If not, you're just going to get a free Klaviyo account audit, so you'll know exactly what you need to do to scale your brand. So that's it for this video. That's it for this module of this free e-commerce email marketing course. As I said, I hope you found value, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.